Okay, my name is Rafał Pocztarski. I don't have slides for today, but I wanted to talk about one of my pet peeves, which is relational databases and some misunderstanding regarding them. So, is the audio okay? Or because I don't hear it very loudly. So, I guess something like 20 years ago, I wrote something on Usenet that people shouldn't be allowed to touch any database unless they know relational algebra, set theory, and predicate calculus. And I got a lot of hate for that, but I didn't change my mind today. And a few years ago, I wrote an article on Medium, which you can get to from my website, that there are no tables in relational databases. Because I know that there is a table keyword in SQL, but it's like, forget about it, it's not about tables. There are relations, and I remember reading a lot of times a sentence like this, that it's ironic that, ironically, relational databases deal poorly with relationships. And once I even read it in one book, so then I got really, frustrated by it, because first of all, it doesn't have anything to do with irony, but let's say that it does. And then relational databases are not about relationships, but about relations from relational algebra. And this is one of the things that I think needs to be understood, because when you don't think about tables anymore and think about relations, then you ask yourself, what is a relation? And when you just get to any definition, you get that relation is a set of tuples, and then immediately you know that, because a table is just a list of rows. And if you think about a relational database as something that stores tables, which are list of rows, then you get a lot of misconceptions, because a table has an order. There is a first row, second row, and things like that. There can be multiple rows that are the same in a table, because why not? It's like an array of something that can be with elements that can be the same. But when you think about a relation that is a set of tuples, then first of all, it's a set. So if you know anything about set theory, then you know that you cannot have multiple elements in the same set. So then you just know that it cannot be multiple tuples in the same relations that are the same, unless there is something that is distinct, like a primary key is an example of that. If you need to put, if you want to have anything that is the same tuples, which most of people would say the same rows in a table, then you need a distinct element of a tuple, which most of people call a column, but this, I want to avoid this because it's a terminology from tables. And when you know that it's a set, then you have all of the set theory at your disposal. So you can have, subsets, you can have intersections, you can have Cartesian products, and you can use all of that in your thinking about data in a relational database. So this is something, and the Polish word for tuple is krotka. I don't know if anyone has heard even anything about it, or is using it on a daily basis, but this is what most of people just don't know, and I find it funny, because this is like the most basic thing in any relational database. And as soon as you know that a relation is a set of tuples, a relation is something that people usually call table, but it's not a table, it's a relation. So it's not like a relationship between different tables or between data. It's a certain thing in a relational model, which is a set of something. So first of all, it doesn't have any order. Second of all, it cannot contain the same elements multiple times. And when you ask yourself, it's a set of what? Then it's a set of those tuples that, and really a relation is not just any set, it's a subset of something. A subset of, let's say, every possible every possible tuple that can be there. So, and which is really a Cartesian product of a domain of every element. Okay, so I guess that you need to read my article on Medium to know more. It's called "What if I told you there are no tables in relational databases?" So I invite you to read it. So, and if you want to talk with me after then, thanks a lot.